Hey guys, John with JRSP, Johnson Reality Self Protection. We're going to talk about some Medusa edged options that I own because I had a discussion with the founder, hadn't had a chance to make the video. I've been so busy with work and stuff, so I didn't get a chance to make the video. And so I talked to the founder of Medusa about a lot of good things. We talked about Medusa and Medusa Less Lethal, something that he mentioned that I forgot to mention. Like in Medusa Lethal, like you never start out with the knife in your hand, but with Medusa Less Lethal, you could always have a less lethal in your hand, and you'd be ready to go. I've been carrying fist loads for ever since 2003, so you do the math there. Whenever I'm going into the store or going somewhere, I always like put a, you know, less lethal fist load in my hand, just in case. You never know what's gonna pop off. And like I always say, or try to always say at the end of each video, some people would call me paranoid for that. I don't consider myself to be paranoid. I consider myself to be paranoid. So right here we have the Coastal Koga SD2, which was invented by Bob Koga and put out by Cold Steel. They made two versions of this, the SD1 and the SD2. The SD2 is like the perfect size, and so very, very effective device. I've used this in real world situations and very, very effective. So I usually carry one of these. Then of course, I'm always going to be carrying my own RSP handler. The RSP handler, this is years and years of my own fist load, like experiences basically, which caused me to come up with this. Anytime you have something in your hand, people, they don't even realize it, but subconsciously their brain notices it. Okay, so I got this in my hand. Subconsciously, people are going to notice it, but they may not realize it as a threat because it's super inconspicuous. And you can do like those type of strikes, those forward stabbing strikes with it, and it be very impactful. But at the end of the day, this thing, I designed it to be something that you could use to back somebody up, get somebody off you, and it will hurt when you hit somebody with it. But we chamfered the hammer end on it right here for those hammer fist strikes. We chamfered that like so. If you are doing abrasion type techniques where you're like ripping it down, it just like it hurts, but it won't tear the skin basically, because anything like that, you're gonna have to answer for that in the court of law. If you maim somebody very bad, that may be really bad for you down the road when legal action gets brought into it. And legal action is always going to get brought into it. Let's talk real quick about some knives. So the founder was telling me about this company, Regimen Knives, and he sent me a picture of this trainer that him and like the other founder, his son, are using or like. And when I saw that trainer, I instantly recognized that as the trainer for Colonel blades. And so I was automatically like completely surprised because I thought that company went out of business, because a couple years back I went to try and purchase a Colonel blades knife, and like the website, you could like, it was like they were all sold out or something. It's like you couldn't get them, and then the website went dark for a little while. So I thought that they were no longer a thing. I thought, well, that's a real dangerous looking knife, so maybe they just got like flat out banned or something. So I just never really thought too much on it, because I'm a real big K-Bar TDI knife guy. I got three right here. Um, I've been carrying K-Bar TDI knives for going on 10 years now. Like, I've been carrying K-Bar TDI knives since February of 2016. Okay, and I don't have the first one that I bought in February 2016. That was the large version of this knife, but I ended up giving that one away to somebody. But I do have these three, which I've carried for years, and K-Bar TDI would like, this was like my go-to knife for the longest. Okay, I still love these knives. I still will carry these knives occasionally if, like, it really just comes down to the look of the draw sometimes. If these are within, reaching distance, and say the Takumi Talk Muted, which has kind of replaced the K-Bar TDI knife for me, but I have carried and trained with these for years. So, like, the Colonel Blades knife looked like a real sweet knife and all, but the fact that it didn't seem like you could get them wasn't that big a deal for me because, like I said, I'm a huge K-Bar TDI knife guy. And so then the K-Bar TDI knife, like I say, is a great, great, great knife, but it does have a few cons for me. Like right in here is a hot spot. I have to hold it kind of in a certain way sometimes, like so it's not like basically like, so I get a good grip on it basically. But I mean, still, I've trained with this for years and carried them for years and trained so much with them that I know how to hold them to get it instantly and stuff like that. So um, really, really love these knives. But the thing about the Takumi Talk Muted is that, where this knife had some cons, the Takumi Talk Muted came out and kind of has that same type of K-Bar TDI knife feel to it almost, but it doesn't have the cons that the K-Bar TDI knives have, but it has all the really the advantages and everything that makes the K-Bar TDI great. This knife has it, but at the same time, it's not as canted forward, and I could get my hand on it, and my hands it fits comfortably on it, and it's just a great knife. And I mean, like in the Medusa system's like a point driven system, all about stabbing. This has a wicked Tanto point. Like, I mean, for me, like, this is the knife when my instructor Brian Canada was kind of like, well, what's your gonna be your kind of like your go-to knife? This was the automatically the one that I was pulling out and showing him. It's still to this day, in my opinion, the best knife. The founder of Medusa was telling me how the Regimen blade or Regimen Blades knife is a game changer when it comes to Medusa. Um, that like it's the same blade basically as the Colonel Blades knife, but apparently there was some drama with people who started the Colonel Blades company and some legal stuff. And basically, from the story that I gathered off of Reddit, like the guy running Colonel Blades screwed over the guy who actually made the Colonel Blade, who is now the owner of the Regimen Blades. He screwed him out of his design and screwed him out of his company, basically. And so, like, there was like a lawsuit and everything and stuff like that and whatever. And ultimately, the dude who invented the um, Colonel Blades, or like he went on to start his own company and called it Regimen Blades. So it sounds like there's a bunch of drama there, like, but those knives are pretty high dollar right now. So I'm not, I don't see myself purchasing one in the future. But if like one of those companies sends me one, like, I won't turn it down. Like, but there's like a bunch of drama there. But still, I still feel that this is, like, for me personally, this is my favorite blade. Even like looking at the Colonel Blade, I would have to be hands on with a Colonel Blades or Regimen Blades knife to like really get a good feel for it and tell y'all something. But I've never owned one. Like when I went to buy one, like I say, the Colonel Blade site was like they were going through their thing, I guess, and so that's that. But as of right now, the Takumi Talk Muted is king for me. And I've said it, in my personal opinion, this is the best defensive blade on the market, in my opinion. I've seen people talk about different blades. Like, what's that one? That Fisher knives blade, that the Beckwith Covert or whatever. Like, people, it's the best. It's like right here. This is my favorite knife currently of all time. I'm not even that big of a SOG fan, but I'll tell you, like, I went to get a knife from Kershaw years ago. A guy had this knife, and nowadays, let me just tell you, I'm not a Kershaw guy anymore. I'm not even a SOG guy. I never was a SOG guy. I've owned 3 SOG knives in my whole life, and this is one of them. And then the SOG Gambit is another one. I owned this before I owned this. Um, but I went to get this Kershaw knife, and they didn't have it. And you know how that feeling is, like when you go to get something and they don't have it, but you don't want to leave empty-handed. Well, I had that kind of going on, and I saw this knife, and it was super marked down. It was like 19 something, and this knife's usually like a $40+ knife. So I saw it, and but I noticed that it had the same type of sheath with the same type of clip and everything as the Gambit, and I'd carried the Gambit for a couple years at that point. Like, and this is a super. This is probably the best knife that I've carried just in the pocket with a clip. And you guys know I don't like pocket clips, but this one freaking works. Okay, like it's the only knife really that's actually that I that's had a pocket clip that I could use the pocket clip and it was a comfortable carrying knife. You're only going to carry something that's comfortable to you, and if it's uncomfortable, you're probably not going to carry it. So I carried this knife for a good while, and I noticed that this Instinct had the same type of sheath and the same type of clip. They are not ultimately the same type of sheath. They're this well, let's just say all of these knives right here, like the muted, and all of the K-Bar TDIs, including the Gambit, they all have, you know, pressure retention sheaths, meaning you can basically just press the sheath and it's going to release the pressure from the blade. It's going to come off relatively easy. I mean, right here, don't want to drop one of these, but you see how that does that? They got pressure retention sheaths. So the muted, same way. Okay, so when I got this Instinct, I thought that it was going to have the same type of ordeal there, but it does not. Okay, see, like it didn't release from the sheath. Um, but it had that same clip, but this wasn't the same as the Gambit. The Gambit, like I can pull that knife from the clip if it's here. Let's see if we can do this actually. You know, I can demonstrate it. Trying to put it in the pocket. The clip grabs the pocket really well. So when you pull this, you can pull this and draw this without like removing the sheath from the pocket. Now, what I'm getting at is a lot of times you'll pull the knife and you'll pull the whole sheath. But this has been one of the best knives where the clip actually, holds the knife on the pocket or wherever you put it. But anyhow, this knife, it wasn't like I thought it was, but I realized that it's like the best neck knife that I've ever owned in my life. I mean, I love this knife. It's gone on, like I said, to become my favorite knife. And I always have it. I've carried some other neck knives recently because I had misplaced this, and that's like a reoccurring theme with this knife. It goes for periods of times where somehow it gets lost and found again. But when I find it and start wearing it again and carrying it, it's always like the best knife. I mean, it comes out super easy from the sheath, but it has a super good retention on the sheath. But you can pull it out really quick. And mine didn't come so sharp out of the box, so that was something that was kind of a little disappointing. But it did take a wicked edge when I sharpened it, and it holds that edge relatively well. And I use this like as a last lethal. Like in Cyrano, we had, your first lethal, your second lethal, your less lethal, and then your last lethal. You should have at least 4 options. And that's how we categorize those 4 options in Cyrano. And so I don't really carry this as a defensive option. I carry this as kind of just like utility, like EDC everyday, tasks. Like I use it all the time. I use it. So it's just a great little EDC knife that I use for everything. and having a hard time getting it in the sheath. It was just a great little EDC knife that I use for everything. But in a pinch, it would be a great last lethal. Like, meaning that your last lethal is like your last ditch effort. Like, situation's looking bad. It's looking like you may lose your life. But you're going to stay in the fight until the fight's taken from you. You're going out on your shield. So I would pull this in that case. In a lot of cases, um, most cases it's going to be underneath the shirt. You know, I have a concealed weapons permit, so most cases, like if I'm walking in public, a lot of people don't even know about it until they're already getting ventilated by it. So yeah, this is the SOG instinct. Like I say, I'm not even a SOG fan. I don't like a lot of stuff that SOG has to offer. I don't hate it, but it just doesn't interest me. But this knife right here, SOG Instinct and the SOG Gambit, have been ones that I really did take a shine to, and I completely recommend this knife. But hey guys, this is Jaw with JRSP, Jaw's Reality Self Protection, and always remember that the world's a big place and all danger is very real. And it's better to be paranoid and alive than complacent and dead. And I don't consider myself to be paranoid. I consider myself to be paranoid. And like I say, always remember, you know, there's not a lot of words and stuff that's worth your life. You know, somebody cuts you off in traffic, it's not worth your life, you know, and whenever you can just walk away, it's better to just do that. So, hey guys, y'all take it easy.